Top floor Central Library, and it's free to get into, and it houses the city's collection of art, but it's also got the old masters that were in the Mapping Art Gallery. So when you go in there, you've got Dutch and Flemish paintings from the 16th and 17th century, all the way around to European art, 19th, 20th century European art, and British art, and some really new acquisitions such as Mark Quinn and Sam Taylor Wood. So it's a really good gallery if you like your art. So that's what you could do in there. If you like to do sort of walking and sort of leisurely strolls around the area, I would suggest that people had a look around the cathedral. The cathedral is a lovely old building in Sheffield, one of the oldest in Sheffield, and they could explore along the back streets here, Campo Lane, and they could end up in Paradise Square here. Paradise Square is again a very old square with lots of old Georgian buildings in it, and the pub, the Wigan Pens, actually extended into that square, so you can actually sit there and have a nice drink and have a look over the square, so that's lovely. I also say it's good fun down by the canal basin, Victoria Quays. Now that the canal was really important to Sheffield in its early industrial stage, because obviously all the heavy goods were coming in and then goods were going out. But gradually as the railways were developed, obviously the canal basin fell into disuse. So that's all been restored now, and it's restored so it's got a couple of hotels down there, it's also got a couple of restaurants. Blue Water's a really nice restaurant, again does lots of English food with local produce, so it's a nice place to go. And if you walk along the canal basin, depending on how energetic you are, you can get all the way out to Meadow Hall. But it's quite nice just to stroll around there and read a bit about the history. And so if it's a nice day, that's a lovely area there. I would also say to them, if they're still here on Sunday, that they ought to catch a bus. They can catch a bus from Leopold Street here, catch a bus from here, and take a bus along the Ecclesall Road. And I would suggest they get off quite early on the Ecclesall Road, because along there's different shops, not your high street shops, different chains, and lots of coffee shops and bars. And I would suggest they would wander all the way along there and pay a visit to the Botanical Gardens, which are here. Lovely ornate botanical gardens. So you've got about 19 acres of landscaped garden with 2 glass pavilions in there. Also a nice coffee shop, very important, Curator's Lodge. And once they're finished there, they can then walk up to Weston Park Museum and get the flavour of Sheffield social history in there, because there's a mock-up of a butcher's shop in there. It's also like natural history as well they can have a look at, and a few treasures. And then they could either hop on a bus back or catch a tram back to the city centre. Stay in the centre, stay in the centre. Just suppose they come by train. What they've got here is a really spectacular walk up from the train station. So they've got the cutting edge, which is that huge metal structure, which has got the water, they've got the cascade. So it's a really grand entrance to Sheffield. So I would suggest they come up and they spend their time in the Millennium Galleries, Winter Gardens, Peace Gardens, Millennium Square and Graves Art Gallery. Maybe taking a few of the quirkier shops along Division Street here. Nice restaurants again, but I would say stay in the heart of the city for one day. You've got a lot of moors, so north of Sheffield, for instance, like Bradfield, you've got lots of lakes and water and moors to discover, which we call is like Sheffield's Lake District, and that's lovely. Again, you've got lots of little villages with some quaint pubs, but from Sheffield you can get very easily into Derbyshire. And of course Derbyshire's got, again, the Peak District, the Peak National Park, and lots of stately homes. So if you're into your culture and your heritage, there's a huge selection of places there like Chatsworth and Haddon. But in our area, in Sheffield, we can do the same thing but on a sort of smaller scale. So we've got Brosworth Hall and Cosworth Hall. They're a bit smaller but equally spectacular. So if you're coming to Sheffield, we've got a fantastic base for sort of travelling around a larger area, which is Yorkshire South and Derbyshire. If I had a bit longer, Kelham Island Museum is absolutely fantastic, but at the moment it's shut because it was damaged in the floods. And again, if you're planning a visit to Sheffield, it doesn't open, don't ask me why, Fridays and Saturdays. It opens Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But if you go there, they've got a fantastic steam engine, the Don Valley steam engine, which when that sets off, it is huge. The whole place vibrates and it's noisy. And it gives you some idea about, Sheffield's industrial past. And they usually have little workshops in there as well, and sometimes there are people making knives and doing things, but it's fantastic. And they also have like a living history, maybe in conjunction with their sort of Victorian craft fair and Christmas, where people dress up as Victorians and they can see Victorian crafts and a big craft fair as well. That's fantastic, but unfortunately that won't be open until October, so if you're planning a visit, they need to check the website when that's going to be open there.